Welcome to another Fenestration Canada podcast.
This podcast is a presentation of Underwriters Laboratories, UL, Inspiring Trust. You are listening to Fenestration in Canada with Pat Flannery and Stéphane Lebel.
Okay, Pat, we're live now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fenestration in Canada. We're back again with Jean-François Renaud from Adviso. Hi, Jean-François. How are you doing? Oh, he's on mute.
Sorry about that.
It happens.
Hi, Patrick.
Hey, there you are. How you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. And as always, we've got Stéphane Lebel from Fenestration Canada with us. Hi there, Stéphane.
Hey, Pat.
Hey. So I think we're going to have a great conversation today. Jean-François is a marketing expert, and this is really your chance to get some advice that is probably otherwise very hard to come by. Jean-François has got a bit of a presentation for us, but he's let us know that it's interaction and asking your questions and getting some advice. This is a chance to do it, and he loves for anybody to break in at any point here, and we'll get some conversation going. So really advise everybody to go ahead and not be shy. Our presentation today is brought to you by UL and Quanex, as always. Thanks very much to our sponsors who make all of this possible. And with that, I guess I'll turn it over to you, Jean-François, and tell us what's going on with you.
Oh, hi, everyone. So I see we're a very little group, so yes, please interact, because it's really, my presentation is about assessing your own business versus your digital progress as a company, especially in a context where physical events have vanished from our marketing plans in the next months. So we have to think more about what we can do with those to generate those conversation and expose your products to potential buyers. So that's what we want to talk about. And we have some levels of adoption of digital here in that presentation. And my goal is for you to auto-assess your business there and to get inspired on what could be a next step for you guys, for your company. So I would love you to share and say, hey, this happens in my company, and I recognize us, or we were there and now we've done this and now we're not there anymore. So not only questions, but also some anecdotal sharings and stories that you can bring to the table that will help the group understand. So that's the goal. So maybe just a little bit of a presentation of myself and my business. So my name is Jean-François Renaud. I'm a French guy, as you may notice with my accent. So I am an entrepreneur. I started my business. It's not up to date, my intro. It's more like almost 20 years now, 19 years. And we're about 100 people here based in Montreal. We help businesses perform online. So basically we call it sprints and marathons, because sprints are those campaigns that you need to accomplish quick results now, and marathons are more like business transformation, digital transformation, business model evolution. So so that's about it. I'll go fast on that. When it comes to B2B and understanding the business to business customer journey, understanding how your buyers and your retailers think, and understanding how the place of digital and all that, it's really a matter of attitude. And I'm saying here, it's like the main barrier on why companies are not succeeding in implementing a digital strategy or digital marketing or process around it that makes it efficient is the culture. So it's because some managers do not really want it, There's not that culture that's implemented, and I'll give you very, very, I think, good examples of that later. And sometimes it's just a discomfort as well, you know, that discomfort with the thing. And we're doing this since many years, so why would we change something that's not broken? So I think now it's a great opportunity to rethink how we were doing business, and that's why I want to help you think about for this lunchtime. So culture, yeah. So because when there's a change in an industry, unfortunately, human beings have often the bad habit of waiting for a big disruption to change their habits. And that's what we're going through right now. And that's what Uber has done to the taxi industry, or we could say ComFree has done to the real estate industry. And we're waiting very often for those big disruptions for something to happen in the way we think. Especially for a manufacturer when it comes to marketing, this disruption often, if the disruption is not coming, there's too much of a reliance on the quality of the product in terms of versus marketing efforts. I'm giving the example here of beta and VHS for those like me who are old enough to understand that example. And you know this example, I'm sure. Beta is the more technically advanced product. VHS is not as good quality, but has spent more money in the distribution network, in the promotion of its product, in signing a deal of content that goes on VHS, and basically kills Beta in a couple of years in terms of for its B2C business. Why? Because Beta is too much focused on the product itself and not enough on the promotion of it. So even if the product is 50% less good, if it's well marketed, it may win versus the actual good product. Okay? So this is only to help you think about, and I see a lot of those businesses where manufacturers and engineer-led technology businesses to fall in that trap. Anyone recognize itself there? Patrick, have you seen that sometimes, or am I dreaming?
It's funny. I was just making notes. I have a presentation on content that I've delivered myself in the past, and this is one of the points I hit very hard, is that when engineers are driving your marketing, they're very focused on the product for obvious reasons, right? But it's never about the product. It never ever is about the product. It's about what the product gives you, right? So it's a feeling or it's a utility that you get out of the product. So you don't go out there and show people product and talk about product and give them numbers about the product. Although in the window and door industry, that's all anybody does. And to be honest, it's a lot of it. You know, B2B, it's engineers talking to engineers. So, you know, maybe it's a little more effective. But I think even with an engineer, you get a little farther hitting a feeling and hitting a utility message than just, you know, a bunch of product talk, right?
Yes, and there's many phases. You know, there's the discoverability phases. They need to know that you exist, and if they search for you and they don't find you, if they don't think about you, if you're not top of mind when they think about, you know, enriching their selection of product for in your category, if you're not discoverable, you may not even appear in their radar. Mm-hmm. For the consideration phase, you know, when they know you are in their list, in their short list, now you're going to talk about the product, obviously. And you need to supply a good amount of information for them to support their decision. And after that, there's the conversion part. And all these different phases require different means, and digital can help at all these steps. And obviously good salespeople too. So, but so again,
in your initial phase,
yeah,
in that discovery phase, that's where we get into talking about Google and SEO and all that and all that kind of thing, right? Is that
Yes.
sort of where you're
we'll see that. I have a graphic.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of you.
No, not at all. No, but I have a graph later that shows exactly where search happens, and there's many phases where it happens. It happens at basically all phases. Because you're gonna see, you will be able to discover through that. You'll be able to share. When they're a consideration phase, you're gonna ask very technical questions. You're gonna compare. You're gonna see reviews. You want to be able to see what architectural magazines have said about the product and things like that. And at the conversion phase, you would like to see, how much competitors are selling it for. What seems to be, you're going to be more in the pricing and the margin phase analysis. So, and all these steps will require search, and we'll see this later. I have a graphic for that, which I will leave for you guys to go if you want. So just the idea that sometimes there's too much effort done on the product and not enough on what goes around. And also there's that. I've seen this very, very often in the marketing, in the manufacturer, with the manufacturing companies, is the sales versus marketing culture, where for many companies, it's almost the same thing in their minds, sales and marketing, and most of the time, there's much more salespeople versus marketing people. Definitely in quantity of people and definitely in quality of people, in terms of if you take the salaries of the salespeople versus the salaries of the marketing people, I usually see a 10-to-1 ratio or something like that.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes it's 3 salespeople for 1 marketing coordinator. Sometimes it's 10 for 1, but at the end it's about the same, always like that. So it just shows me that there's a clash in between those two cultures, but those two functions of the business can be really, really strong if they work in together, if they work in synergy, and I think we'll see a little bit more about that now.
The way that was explained to me, JF, was marketing is creating demand, and sales is fulfilling demand. And so many companies have mashed those two together that they've lost the distinction in many cases. And I think what's happened is the marketing side of it is almost phased out to just become a pure sales function. Again, speaking a lot in our industry, it's almost phased out to become a pure sales function all the time, and they expect the sales guy to drive his own demand as well as fulfill the demand of the customers. And traditionally, it's less effective. I mean, it's your separation of labor is better when you have somebody out there trying to drive demand, trying to raise the awareness of things, trying to communicate the important brand messages. And then your sales guys are just involved with, like, going to those other 2 phases, right? Going to the next 2 phases of your sales process.
Yes, and and I've seen some. When I say that the sales culture, yes, there are more people, they're more vocal, they bring the top line, so they have a very good ear of the higher management. And they are, and often marketing is there at the service of sales, creating content for them, but not necessarily being active enough in the process or proactive enough in the process in order, you said, drive demand. Drive demand, for me, this is marketing role, and capturing demand and making sure, converting demand in actual business opportunities. This is the sales team job. And so these guys are, it's like we were talking about hockey earlier, and it's really the guy who does the assist and the scorer, but you need both, in order to get those goals.
Yeah.
So okay, so, and now we say that since a couple of years, the burden has shifted from a perspective of outbound marketing. We were more into outbound marketing, and companies, B2C and B2B, were able to have one message, send one big message on the market, and that was basically it. Now we're more in a market where inbound marketing is the thing, where the consumers are much more active. They want to be much more active in the process, and they want to understand and control the variables of their product, and they need much more information in order to take their decision. And this is not, and I think manufacturers often rely a lot on their retailers and distributors to do that. But I will try today maybe to convince you that there is a big opportunity for manufacturers, to spend more on their brand and to change a little bit that in French we say un rapport de force, the strength balance that you have with your distributor, so that you are maybe a little bit less dependent on them, and you're more strong in the process, and you have more control in the relationship to get more leads and to get more profit out of it.
I think a manufacturer has to, in a lot of ways, Jeff, has to take control of that relationship. But too often, this tension gets set up where there's a vague agreement about who's going to do the marketing and who's going to drive that side of it, and it often ends in rancor. Somebody, it's the marketing person is saying, well, you're my distributor. Your job is to do all of this stuff, and the distributor is saying, well, I don't have your money, so why do I have to pour all these resources into marketing when you're the rich one? And
not only that, I mean, they could change the product line at some point. They could change completely a manufacturer at some point, and you're relying. It's like if you put your future in the hands of a third party that is not your owner, that doesn't own and doesn't have the same issues at stake that you have.
Yep, exactly.
So we're in a world of choice. People have choice, and they want to be able to master this choice. So you have to give them tools in order to support their choice mechanism. And for that, customers wants companies to have empathy against them, and that's true for B2B as well as B2C. So the push, like this sales guy is doing, versus this dog here helping, that's what companies needs to do now. They need to help their consumers, B2B or B2C, to take the best decision possible. They need to be there for them, and they need to ease the discovery, to ease the selection and the comparison and the criteria selection, and to ease the price comparison, because the sales guy, not door to door, his strategy was working because it was invasive and because of lack of transparency on the market. The data on the price of those vacuum cleaners were not available. But now it's available in 3 clicks. So transparency, authentic help, generosity. You talked about content, good content, true help is what's it's needed here in this new market.
One of the best descriptions I ever heard of the biggest mistake that people make in their marketing approach. Again, I'm a content guy, so I'm going to keep talking about content. There's nothing can stop me.
That's a good thing to talk about.
It is talking to yourself. When I was an ad writer, we were always told, don't be talking to yourself. You have to be talking to the customer. And it's that sounds like something obvious that people would say, well, I'd never do that. It's amazing how much advertising ends up being a message that the advertiser wants to tell to themselves, right? They're telling themselves things that they want to hear about the product or about what they're doing. They're not addressing what the customer wants to hear. about
That's
what
true.
doing.
And the one of the proof of that is we often say campaigns. This is it's a word we use a lot in marketing, the word campaigns. But the word campaigns is basically a moment where you decide to share your message. But the consumers are not searching for your product only at the moment where you do your campaign. They're searching all over the year. And I always I have a customer called BRP. BRP, they do those scooters, not scooters, but Sea-Doos and Ski-Doos. And I always take the Ski-Doo example, because if you take the curve of demand for Ski-Doos, if you look at the queries being searched in Google for Ski-Doo during the year, and you take all the other brands, competitive brands, and you look at the curve, obviously there will be more in November, December, January.
Right.
But there is the third of the volume in June and in April. So if you're not there to answer the consumer at this point, he's going to prepare his mind. He's going to prepare his idea of with whom he's going to work at some point, or where he's going to buy, what product or which brand he's going to buy. Mm-hmm. And once it's going to be the time to buy, if you're appearing just at that moment because you've decided to to go forward your content just at that moment, you're going to be too late in the game. You're not going to be on its radar, basically.
They basically made up their mind on what product they want a couple months before the big boost you see in the market, right? So
exactly.
If you're not there, you're gonna have a really big hill to climb back.
I think so, and you're not gonna have the time to climb it, and because the decision will be it's gonna be too late in the decisional process. Yeah. And I think if it's true for Ski-Doos, it must be true for windows and doors.
Even more so, because it's such
even
a big
more
purchase.
So. It's less of a seasonal product.
And people take. Well, it's pretty seasonal because you're thinking about it over the winter, and then you're buying in the spring, and then they're getting installed over the summer. But it takes a long time and a lot of thought and a lot of planning to. It's
a high engagement, high commitment product, very expensive, complex, makes a bunch of crap in your house. It's a painful. So it's really well thought usually. So if you're not there at all those steps, you may miss the opportunity. Mm-hmm. As per the so my digital adoption levels, they're super non-scientific, just so you know, okay? It's nothing scientific. It's more for trying to auto-assess and project yourself again. So it's a little bit caricatural at the same time, because we need to have fun a little bit. It's, life can be so it's at the same time to have fun, but to make you think, okay? So let's start by the simplest one. The first one, we call it denial. So that's the first step of first digital adoption level, okay?
I feel what you're going to present also applies to COVID.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes. But this one, if you take this picture, I mean, it may be an efficient mask,
Yeah.
Anyway, just a bad joke.
Exactly. No, exactly. That could be better than a mask. Yeah.
So denial. How do you recognize? And these are most of the time, okay, they're a bunch of quotes that I've heard for real from B2B businesses, businesses selling product to other businesses, which is your case, I think.
Yeah.
So our product is enough. Retailers needs us. Okay. So that's one of the denial, because again, it's the same thing I was explaining with the beta VHS thing.
Man, these are familiar.
Website is basically a brochure, and it's not up to date. But you know what? We don't really talk about it because we don't send people to it because it's old and but it's online.
It's still there.
Yeah.
You leave it there. Yeah.
We don't send any emails to our client, not newsletters. Not content newsletters. On the website, there's no concrete call to action. So we have products, but there's no way of how should I buy them, which retailer sells my product, things like that.
Oh, come on, JF. The phone number is right there. Come on. Isn't that enough?
But sometimes it's not there, even.
I don't know if it is even.
But I feel you. Googling your brand doesn't find the website first, because there's a name like Fenêtre, or there's a word that makes you even if you know the brand, if you have word of mouth, and if Patrick told me, those Marvin windows are so great, you should go to see them. Patrick didn't say that, by the way.
I'd say that. I like Marvin.
I say that.
We like all our members.
We like Marvin. We like Marvin.
Marvin.
Even though they're Americans, they're very good to us.
It's because I have you see that I am very white. My face is very white because I have a huge window right in front of me right now. Okay, so that's why it's actually Alumilex, this one. It's not the Marvin. Marvin is on the other side of the house. But anyway,
there you go.
So where was I? So Googling our brand, we don't find. Thinking that web, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or house are fads, and that's going to go away very soon. Okay? It is definitely denial. Finding that Amazon is only for nerds and that Uber is dangerous. That's another thing that. And saying that we can do it because anyway we're manufacturers and it's not our job. It's a little bit like at the end. And I often seen also, we have franchisees, so it's hard to sell online or to have a full offer online because our franchisees don't carry the same thing and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So this is definitely the denial phase.
Okay? What about desire to keep a low profile, JF? Have you ever heard that one? Because we still get that.
That's weird, no? Why?
Well, there's two reasons. One is there's a certain ethic of not wanting to look like a show off among your
peers or
friends and your believe it or not that actually influences some people, and secondly, there is among some people a desire not to have anyone know anything about your business unless you tell them directly, because they're very concerned about people finding things out about them that they could use against them competitively. But that's
I don't think that's the majority of the manufacturers, though.
I hope not.
Yeah, but I believe you.
I run into it.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you.
And you can see those brands where sometimes, they think so much about how they're going to sell it differently than the others, that the brand becomes bigger than the actual product. Okay? I'll give you an example that's not even related to your industry, but think about Casper mattress. Okay?
Yeah.
The mattress is good, but they made it actually kind of exciting to buy a mattress. They completely changed the way people, usually a mattress is like, we have to go test mattress, and this is like, Casper, have you seen those mattresses? You've never seen someone talk with so much emotion about a mattress before Casper comes around. So it's like this is it can really change the way you're perceived, and you can and I think even in your industry, which is quite, with specification givers such as architects and things like that, and entrepreneurs, and there's, the process is still quite classic, traditional, but you could have a disruptor at some point like that. You could have a Tesla, you could have a Casper in your industry at some point, and it could. So I would just suggest not to wait for that and to auto-disrupt yourself.
It's possible. It's happened. There's certainly when you think about vinyl windows in the 80s, 70s, 80s. Previous to that, window frames were all wood, and then vinyl came along, and they figured out how to do it economically, and So I mean,
that was a game changer.
Yeah, we've seen massive, those kinds of massive industry disruptions in this industry before, and I'll tell you. It led to some absolute changes in the marketing approach, in the way that like the vinyl had been around for a while, but it took the right marketers to get out there and really pull people along to try it. It was a big effort, and it took some innovation for sure.
And right now we're talking about only the finished product, which is the window or the door, but every company that supplies manufacturers to create that product, these companies also can disrupt their own, their own industry, their own products. Like, when we talk about paints or materials, that's also where you can see eventually a lot of changes in the industry, not just in the in the finished product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of there are technologies on the on the drawing board right now that may make those similar kind of changes as we.
But the funny part with Casper is that the actual product is not so much different. It's the way it is marketed that it makes it different.
Yeah.
It's the delivery process, it's the guarantee, it's the low risk, it's the online aggressiveness as well. It's also the distribution model. It's a direct only distribution model. So all the money that a distributor is not making on profits is being spent in marketing by the manufacturer. So that's what makes the big difference.
The original well, I won't say any names. One of the original spacer or an early foam spacer design might have been something similar to that. That it had its advantages for sure, but the marketing effort was definitely transformative. I mean, it brought that product into There's been a few examples of that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that marketing has a huge impact, and what we're saying now, especially with, we can't basically go and visit customers or our B2B customers, and so it just makes it even more important. And that's why today we wanted to talk with Jean-François, because it's not only about changing your whole about disrupting the whole industry. You don't have to go that far if you don't want to, or if you can't, but it's about getting there, because I know that a lot of manufacturers, or even a lot of suppliers, they're not up to par with what they probably should be at this point, and with COVID it's just even worse.
So I'll continue, because now we're more in those first levels, and I want to have time to go through the good levels where it's inspiring. So the second level, I'll go fast, okay?
Yep.
Is pretend, okay? So this is when you do it, but not for real. So you give Sidley $250K to redo a logo, but you hire a freelancer to do a website, okay? Or you have a site with a few pages for B2C, other for B2B. So, it's like not very clear if you're B2C or B2B. You're buying keywords via yellow pages, okay? That I've seen less and less, but I've seen. We send a newsletter every year, but sometimes we skip one or two, to all the contacts we have hanging around in an Excel file with Outlook, okay? We've seen, so this is like the super too much basic newsletter.
Yeah.
We have Google Analytics, but we don't know who accesses it. We don't know who has the access for it. We don't know anything. And you know what? The emergency I had just before we started was one of my clients, which I'm obviously not gonna name, who forgot to renew his domain name.
Oh.
And lost his corporate website. It's a huge Canadian corporation. So for me, it's like pretending. It's like you pretend that you're doing it, but it's not important really for you, because there's no real means that have been taken to make sure it is seriously handled.
Wow.
So we are good on Google, but we are not referenced on terms searched by our end customers to identify potential suppliers. Okay, so we're there. You search our name, we're going to be there, but that's about it. Okay, so that's kind of pretending. And that is what I was showing you there, that I was telling you about earlier, when the different phases, the purchase initiation phase, evaluation criteria, and that's the percentage of search engine use at every of those steps. And it's not perfect, this thing, but just to say that there's many steps. Purchase initiation, hey, we may need to have a new line of product for Windows. Evaluation criteria. Which one are we going to start to talk about? Searching information about them, defining the supplier definition, evaluation of those suppliers, and all these steps The buyer, the decider, the influencer, the user, the initiator are all using search engines. Okay? So that's what I was telling you about earlier in the process. So pretending, also another, salespeople are capturing customer data, but they put it in their personal Rolodex. Okay, they're not filling the CRM. Okay, and that is a problem I see so often. And to me, I always describe it the same way to my clients. It's like a salesperson not filling the CRM. It's exactly like an employee stealing from the warehouse.
Yeah,
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's taking money out of the till. That's why it happens.
It's not
these
capturing.
guys are like, I'm going to get let go, and I'm taking it with me.
And I'm taking it with me, and I'm gonna give it to my new employer, which is probably a competitor. So
yeah, I don't know why any company lets sales get away with that, but I've seen it again and again.
It's probably hard.
Most of the time I see it, and they're like, they don't have time to fill the CRM, blah blah blah. But it is their job to capture contacts and create and nourish relationships in the name of the business that hires them.
Well, I guess there's digital solutions to that now, right? Though, because I mean, if you can integrate your input into your personal, like whatever your personal records are, and just have that updated automatically, it isn't a matter of the guy sitting down and putting it in one by one anymore. Well, I mean, that used to be something you had to dedicate a day to, once a week or something.
But there's still an action you need to take, take a picture.
If you do it every day, it's not going to be that long.
Yeah.
And if you receive your salary only if you put it in, you may get a bigger percentage of adoption. Spend $500,000 a year to go to trade show and ask the graphic designer to make us a brochure 2 days before you leave.
That never happens.
Well, that one I can relate, but yeah, I've seen that often. Yeah.
So this is pretending also. So and this is exactly the sales culture versus marketing I was telling you about. That graphic designer, quote quote, is quite often what you call the marketing department, but it's mostly like an executant for salespeople like that. Mm-hmm. It is suggested that you call us or write us to info@acme.com or the phone number that you were referring to, Patrick, earlier. We bought a license for Marketo or Pardot, and you see, the more we're gonna go, the more you're gonna see solutions. I'm just it's not the exact solution. I just want to name people are buying solutions, but it's not really implemented yet, or we're not really using it yet. And these are solutions for sending email and nurturing business relationships. And the CEO decides on the website and the tone of the ads because he has a great eye for it. Okay, so that's another way of pretending.
And how do you know he has a great eye for it? He told you that he has a great eye.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes. So let's start with the people that are more inspiring. So do it. People who do it, what they're doing. So they have an SCM program. They buy banners on LinkedIn, but they don't really know what it's worth. It's expensive, but we get a lot of completed application forms on our site. Okay, so at least you have an application form. You have a form in order to start a conversation with one of a sales guy, book for a demo of our product, virtual demo of our product, for example. But at least you're capturing leads, and you know when you have a lead coming in versus the cell phone of the sales guy is ringing. We have one person dedicated to the web, but she's pretty busy designing our in-store displays. So she is dedicated, but she has other things to do as well. We've received a Google Analytics report by email, but we don't really know what to do with them, but at least we're reading them. Customer data is stored in a Google Docs file, and sometimes we send a newsletter with MailChimp. We've implemented an open source CRM, but we have almost no data in it. Okay, so at least we have a CRM. We're starting to get, to be serious about it, but we don't have much data. Sales team has not adopted it yet. Marketing team goes to trade shows and collect business cards with a contest in our booth. We don't know what we will do this year because we don't know how to attract those leads this year, 2020. Okay, So at least people are trying to do stuff here. What are the good people doing? What the ones who are good, okay, that we can say that are good? We have a digital strategy and we know what we're doing, and most importantly, why we're doing it, okay? We have a team that owns the customer journey. They're always looking at how the customer journey is evaluating and what kind of new questions people are asking, what our end user are asking, what's the new trend they're gonna ask us about this year, what is the support giving us as feedback as well on the product, and knowledge and digital autonomy of the business is its future. We start to think like that. We work with our retailers and distributors to capture end customer data to understand the full circle. Often the manufacturers don't have access to the actual end user data. So you need to create programs for that. So how can you know how much you should invest on your digital marketing strategy if you're not able to put in the full circle? So, okay, we've invested something, we've generated a lead to our distributor, the distributor sold it, and we're able to circulate back to us and know, okay, this is the banner that we've bought that sold, that sent that guy, and he converted to the distributor and we know about it. So there's ways of doing that. You know, often you're gonna have the mail-in certificate. You're gonna have the double the guarantee if you register with us. You're gonna have these things that will permit you to create a customer database, a true end user database that will give you power over your retailers as well over time. Okay?
That was another early lesson. You want response, there's got to be an offer.
There's got to be an incentive.
There has to be an
Absolutely.
offer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people market and they go, "Oh, I didn't get any response." And I go, "What was the offer?"
What was the offer? Make the customer lose 20 minutes of his life again versus nothing? Okay.
Yeah.
Would you do it? No? Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
So our acquisition data is discussed in a scrum every morning, and we see the cost of our traffic and leads decrease over time. Okay, starting to have those conversations. That means you have the conversation every morning. We're looking to this data. It's important for us. There's important people sitting down every day looking at it. That's true efforts. That's true dedication to it. Our marketing budget is based on demand per product. Think about my Ski-Doo example earlier, not versus when we want to say something, but with the curve of demand over time.
Yeah.
And our investment are continuous, depending on the accounts we want to acquire in each country, in each province, in each city. Which retailers are you focusing on? Are you want to convert those retailers? What do you do in their market to be noticed from them?
Yeah.
And our media investments are aligned with our account strategy. So we spend in the provinces where we need to support those retailers or where we want to convert those retailers. Okay?
And we always advertise in our trade magazine. All the time.
Often to ourselves.
Well,
Day and night.
Sorry, guys, because you may have one at Fenestration Canada.
No, I'm the editor of Fenestration Review magazine.
Okay.
So it was his weekly plug right there.
That was my weekly plug.
Okay, good.
JF stepped right on it.
That's good for you. So be good. So yeah. So all the digital levers must be in synergy and they help each other. And I will not have time to go through that at all, but you're gonna have it to go. Sorry about that.
Yep.
I said that all over. So again, be good. Since the transactional data is in the CRM, salespeople are finally on board to get their commission. Okay, you get their commission only if the information is in the CRM and transaction data is in it. Now we start as a company to have data on what works and what is not working. So now we can start to improve. Before, we don't know. We have to rely on Daniel, Stéphane, or George, or whoever it is, salespeople. Okay. So we have an online campaign before a trade show, and we propose to the leads to make an appointment with our representatives on the spot. Interesting. So, and for 2020, we will make sure to capture as much queries as possible in the markets. We target to convince more end customers and support our dealer program as well. So instead of spending money on a trade show, we spend money to capture queries from B2C customers and we send them to our dealer program. So they're more happy and they're more happy to work with us. After the trade show, Jackie at the reception desk will enter all the contacts in the CRM and will send an email to thank the visitor to coming to see us. It's fun. With HubSpot, you can know when a customer comes back to the site. Okay? So, having this rhythm, it's not complicated. I put the receptionist there just because to show that it just has to be a mechanical process that's repeated over time. It doesn't have to be complex, but it gives you a lot of information on who is coming after that trade show. So at least whatever you've done to generate those leads. Is it a trade show? Is it an online campaign? Is it whatever? If it's bringing actual leads to you. And if you circle it back with the product, as we were discussing before, you know exactly how much it sells, how much it costs you selling a new set of windows for a consumer.
Yeah, it's not more time consuming or resource consuming. It's just a new set of habits, really.
Yes. And this is the best ones. The ones that you can insert in the mechanisms that exist already are the best ones. The ones that require a totally new way of doing stuff are usually being abandoned after 2 times because it's too painful. We create content and our clients tell us about it. We feel that a good project cost planner, energy savings calculator generate discussions and leads. I gave 2 examples that could apply to your industry, but it could be other ideas that you are probably much better than me to have, Patrick.
You give something to get something, right?
Exactly.
Like that's how this can work. Is the more you're out there helping people out, however you can do it, that's where you will see stuff come back. And it sounds fuzzy, but not everything is always down to price, especially like you say in this day and age when there's so much ability to compare and there's so many similar, apparently similar offerings out there. If you're the one giving somebody something, you're probably the one that's going to get something back.
Oh yes. And it's like it's we say in French, we don't attract bees with vinegar,
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing than for the incentive we were talking about for registration and things like that.
Yeah.
So yes, where was I? Yeah,
we were good. We were being good.
I'm continuing. I crossed. These are just to say that there's a funnel. People they go through a funnel, but the customer journey funnel for Windows, as you said, is more like that because so much high implication. You realize you start to look at them. It becomes too expensive. You forget about it. The winter comes, you feel it cold in your house, or you see your next hydro bill, and you're like, oh no, we have to go again. And it's a complex. And if you're not capturing any information, you don't know how much you spend to get those leads and to see how much it helped you converting them. And this is just like example of content you may want to create for different timing and different according to your objectives. When you're at the level of entertaining, educating, persuading, or converting, when you're in that funnel. But I need to go fast because we're close to the end. So trust me on that, I will pass. But these are a good example actually of how you can, sending an email after the person have installed the Windows to know if they're happy about it, and give them the incentive to have a review if they're happy. Make sure that they can leave a review that's going to be publicly available after. And if you get searched for after and you see that you have 462 reviews and you have a 4.4 average, people are going to click on your link and not the link of the other one who has only 8 reviews.
A lot of people are afraid of reviews, JF. Do you basically have to game the system if you're going to do a review site?
Yes and no. More yes. Game the systems. Okay. Think about it again. You don't attract bees with vinegar. So only the people who are pissed off will come to do reviews if you don't attract them a little bit with honey.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So if you don't do nothing, you will only have negative one, except from your mother maybe. Okay. So gaming the system doesn't mean to game it in terms of being like
deleting bad reviews.
No, or making the reviews yourself or things like that. Gaming the system means sending an email. Hey, Patrick, are you happy with your new Windows? Yes, I am. Oh, you want to share it? If you share it, we give, we give a dinner to the restaurant every month to the people who have made a review this month. So, okay, I'm going to share it. Oh, you're not happy. Oh, let me put you in contact with someone in the support team so we can see what's going on and we can help you solve your problem. But obviously not proposing to share its review.
Yeah, and
that's what I mean by gaming the system. It's having again this process where you're proactively getting those positive review, and you are working on those negative review in order to improve and get through.
It's also using your quality control, which you should have in your company. You can use that to generate more marketing. So if you do follow-up calls or follow-up emails to see, just quality control, like are you happy with the product? What is it? Are you happy with the service? What is it we could change? Well, might as well use it because you should be doing it anyway. So might as well use it as marketing after. And
you're gonna learn of what's working good and less good of your product, and you're gonna create those good reviews, and all this together will create some new opportunities, definitely. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, be outstanding. What are the outstanding companies are doing? Our representative receive information on the best clients to call within the next 5 minutes. SQL is really clear with us. Sales qualified leads. When it's a MQL, marketing qualified leads, marketings make sure to enter it in our pipeline. Our new chatbot is a surprising source of new leads and help us sort through them. Could be our new cost savings calculator. It could be, so you have those leads qualification that becomes, this person seems to be in the process of deciding for Windows. So we're going to put it in the MQL. But at some point when they start to consult certain pages, this is now an SQL. So we're going to make sure to send it to the sales team. So the sales team, and that is when I was saying at the beginning that, the synergy between the marketing and the sales team, they have to talk every day, those guys. And they have to say, hey, are the leads that we're sending you are good or they're not good enough? And if not, tell us how we can improve. And this is how it's not by bitching against the marketing people and say that they don't do enough, that you're going to improve the situation. You have to invest in that relationship, both sides, to make sure that they're working together as a team. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of the chatbots, Jeff?
Most of the time it's crappy. Yeah. Most of the time. I think right now the AI, especially in Canada where you have two languages, it should be based on fixed answers versus open text. Yeah. Open text is always super disappointing, I think, in terms of customer experience. But the good thing about the chatbot is that once especially if you're using Facebook Messenger, let's say you have a call to action on your website that says talk to someone in our company for ask questions.
Right.
Okay. And they click on it, and you have that conversation open on Facebook Messenger. It's like an email opt-in.
Yeah.
So you can reactivate those, and you can send notifications about new product or presence at a real estate, how do you call that? Salon de l'habitation, something like that, like a show or something like that. So you can, or you could say, hey, have you seen that new episode of The Office? That was our window in that scene, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're saying by if someone communicates with your business through Facebook, they kind of
Facebook
Messenger, they kind of enter an agreement. It's kind of like an opt-in for emails. So it's like they give you their contact, and now you're allowed to use it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, really? So that overcomes that makes you castle compliant. You're okay to go back to them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes. So I think for this, so if you use it to create those new contacts, and you send a human being as soon as possible, because the chatbot is not going to be able to deliver a good expertise, except if it's like a wizard, like question, A or B question, and you. Yeah. So it's a closed funnel like that, it can work. If it's an open, it's gonna be disappointing for the consumer at the end, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
And our creative media, landing pages, and calls to action are dynamically based on demographic, behavioral, and scoring data. So basically, you have a consumer that is really, really active. He's searching for the name of your competitor. You're bidding super hard to make sure you're getting seen because he's really in the process of booking. So, but you're not bidding super hard for everyone. So you have that customer data and you're using it to be smarter in your marketing dollars. That's what it means. But this is not rocket science, what I'm saying now, by the way. A lot of people are doing that. Okay.
A lot of big people, right?
Big or nimble people.
Yeah, okay.
If you take all your, I'm gonna look at the last one I wrote here. Newsletters are triggered automatically based on the customer journey and are integrated into the sales efforts. We know that the machine is more rigorous than our salespeople in making follow-ups.
Yeah.
That loyalty follow-up I was speaking earlier. That email about, hey, you've come to our website, you've seen those windows. We want to make sure do you need help? Okay. So look at this last sentence. It was worth letting Maurice go to pay for it. With his commissions, he was earning way above his contribution.
Sorry, Maurice, wherever you are.
Sorry, Maurice. And this is totally caricatural. But the idea here is to say, if you're not doing any sacrifice and you're spending tiny dollars and you're still keeping the big, if you're not sacrificing things that stopping to do something new, you're not gonna do something real. But you're just gonna do it on the surface and expect results and say, oh, I tried it and it didn't work.
But so
you're gonna stay at the pretend level.
Yeah, and Patrick, you mentioned only the big guys would do that, but I know for a fact that to this last point here, there's tons of softwares on the market that you take a couple hours to set them up, and it's not that hard to set up, and they can do most of that. So I mean,
it's more a matter of commitment.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Let's say you say, hey, I'm gonna have a guy handling this email program and making sure that we capture all the information from every product we sell, and making sure those reviews are going, and one sales guy.
Yeah.
Instead of having one person that 1/10 of his time is on marketing and a sales guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just struck me that's pretty well, especially the first point, that the triggering the newsletter is one thing, but it's pretty sophisticated stuff, which is great, and I think it's easier to do than people understand, right? It's it's just and none of this works without that data, the earlier points about the data building process and being able to capture and organize your data the way that you want. Which honestly, look, I'm just trying to maintain a magazine list over here, and that's a constant, that's a daily effort, right? I know, and that's not even something that changes very much.
I'm not saying it will be done without efforts. I'm saying it needs to have dedicated efforts.
Yeah.
But it's not unattainable in terms of, it's not like built, you don't have to be Elon Musk to do that. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's not hard. It just necessitates work and time.
Yeah.
But it's not hard. Yeah.
And when I say newsletters are triggered automatically, it doesn't mean you need to have, automatic can be based on time. You've registered, your Windows, and we send you an email 1 week after, 1 month after. Oh, you did a review, or you use our calculator. We send an email 3 weeks after. It can be trigger can be just an amount of days after an event or something like that. And this is not hard to get. Obviously, if you say we want to only send an email to people who have this criteria, and it can become more complex. But we can start with something simple. The example I give very often is native deodorant. It's the Casper of the deodorant. You buy the deodorant, and 5 days after you received it, they're gonna send you an email. Do you like it? If you like it, make a review. If you make a review, we give you 20% on your next purchase. You end up having 8 of those deodorants, and you're never gonna buy another one again because you're set for 2 years. And they're good at sending those emails at the good right time that makes you buy more deodorant right now. Okay. So CRM is crucial for the business with a sales pipeline and enriched data. It is important for tomorrow's sales, but also for our business model of tomorrow. Business model of tomorrow means, hey, we may go direct at some point, but if we don't have any customer data, how are we going to be good going direct? The member of our management team who knows about digital has a really big impact on our growth. You know, it's like someone sitting at the highest table, having an opinion, influencing the future of the company. In the CRM, there's an engagement score by goal, Spoke about the newsletter. And I'm saying here, sometimes it can look like it's being sent from the sales guy. You know, it can be a machine that helps the sales guy look good and rigorous, you know. Yeah. It doesn't have to be in competition again, okay? Yeah. So we make agreements with complementary campaigns and exchange data. We did not go to the last trade show in Vegas, but we've made a data deal with the association that organizes it. We were able to do the same for 2020, and that put us in a really advantageous position versus our competitors. Okay, some of the vertical associations, such as yours, sometimes are organizing those trade shows and things like that, and sometimes are selling also data in order to or views in the magazine, and you can exchange audience data. I'm going to give you an example here. Bikini Village. They're selling bikinis, as their name is saying. How are they able to know who to target in October for a bikini?
Everybody buying a plane ticket to Cancun.
Exactly. Who has this information?
Air Canada.
Voila.
Yeah.
So Bikini Village is entering a deal, and that's a real deal, by the way, an agreement of, so every time Air Canada is booking a flight for a certain destination, it's going to send the audience data to Bikini Village who can target with a bikini.
Wow.
Okay. So think about those deals you could do with architectural firms. I don't know, how do you say that? The thing you put outside of your house, not shielding. Sidings.
Siding, roofing.
Companies,
yeah. Anybody looking for any construction renovation projects, people looking
that are not
for
your
rentals.
Competitors, but that there's probably a window change that's coming, you know.
Yeah. Even big landscaping projects, you could tie into that because people often do both at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an example. It's just to say, think outside the box. Data partnership. The outstanding companies are doing that today. Okay. I'm gonna pass this because I don't have time.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's only a joke anyway. So, but you're gonna like it, Patrick, because it's this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk. For sure, you know him. He's a king of in the content world.
I've seen him. Yeah.
He's saying, if you want, I don't know, I don't remember who, but he says he really likes this superstar. Okay, I don't know, I think it's Beyonce.
Beyonce, yeah. Put a ring on it.
I love Beyonce.
That's her song,
much.
Yeah.
But he's
if you like it, put a ring on it.
If you like it, put a ring on it. It's like, you're not going to be able to do it at one night with her. It's going to be, you have to put a ring on it, okay? And he gives that example, and he says that digital is the same. You have to commit for the long term in order to get the results, okay? So
that must be why so many people in this industry haven't done it.
Maybe. I don't know this industry enough to tell you. But
am I gonna have to edit this podcast?
Hey, it's the guy is Ray Nona. It's not me who said. I'm just saying what he's saying.
I'm starting to get nervous here.
Sorry, Stefan.
I'm good.
This part is finished. So if you cannot measure, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So that's very classic. And finally, I have 2 slides here. Digital is not going anywhere. Start to grow your audiences and your autonomy for the future of your business. That's, if I have to remember one thing, I like this sentence. Mm-hmm. And I'm just ask yourself, what's your current level? Where, for real, tell you the truth. Tell yourself the truth. And what next steps can you imagine, and what concrete action you can undertake to make it happen? I would have loved, usually when we're in front of each other, I'm asking and we do a round table and people are answering that question.
Yeah.
Now we didn't have a lot of participation, but thank you, Patrick, for your comments and questions. But I invite you to think about that on your side.
Yeah, and also like these videos, they're we get a lot of views afterwards too. So
Yeah.
you know, so we might have questions coming up after. Maybe if you can give us your contact, or how
Sure.
you want us to work with you, because I feel it's always
It's not
always
on the
steep,
last
right?
slide, but I will put it right now.
Okay, well, we have your name, so yeah. But I mean, Patrick,
Oh,
do you have
look at
any more
that.
questions? Oh, here you go.
Wow, there's some nice. Yeah, so that's great, Jeff. Well, I guess mindful of the time, we better get going here. But there's your information. Really, folks, anybody seeing this now or seeing it afterwards, definitely invite you to reach out to Jean-François Renaud and get some advice on what can be done. We actually have, I think, as people know, significant marketing challenges coming up in this industry. It's something we may have to get back with you again, JF, to talk a little bit more.
It'll be a pleasure.
About, because we have challenges coming up where our entire market is being driven by the government to sell more expensive products, much more expensive, much more technically advanced products than we've had to in the past. And I would love to have further discussions with you about exactly how we're going to do that.
This is high level, this is it's a presentation to make you think, but we have very more detailed presentation on how you transform your business for digital, how you do marketing automation, how you do search engine optimization, how do you put up a marketing program that's efficient. So we have all those sub presentation. This is more like a, rethink about how you integrate digital in your business, kind of.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? I'm going to call this to be continued.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks very much, JF. Thanks
to you
again.
guys.
Yep, thank you. Thanks very much to UL and Quanex for sponsoring us today on Fenestration in Canada. For me, Pat Flannery, and Stéphane Labelle, goodbye and see you next time.
This podcast is a presentation of Quanex Building Products. For more than 30 years, Super Spacer Tri-Seal from Quanex Building Products has been the ideal warm edge spacer solution for commercial and architectural glass. With its unique triple seal design, Tri-Seal provides structural strength, durability, and outstanding thermal performance in the most demanding applications. Learn more at quanex.com.